Hello everyone and welcome to a retro bicycle layering guide video. So first up, I'm going to take the base layer for the tires, and for this one here I'm just going to pop this into place onto some white cardstock. For this layer, I'm going to be using the lightest of my inks. So for this one here, I will be using the sand dunes to get a kind of creamy looking tire color. You could use a darker one if you wanted to go for kind of gray tires, but I am going to go for the creamy look. So this one is the sand dunes ink. So once that's done, that's going to stamp the base layer of the tires, the seat, and also the handlebars. Once that's done, I'm going to take the second layer and I'm just going to line up the little notches that we can see in the tires on both the back and the front, and making sure that they line up within the circular shapes of the one that we've just stamped. Once I'm happy with how that one is looking, I'm going to ink this one up, and for this one here I am going to be using some of the Rocky Shore ink. This is a slightly darker color than the sand dunes, so I'm going to line that up again, lining it up with the tires and also the little notches that we have in the tires that are not going to stamp. So that's the easiest way to line this one up. Once that's done, I'm going to take the kind of spokes part and also the handlebars and the springs that's on the little seat, and I'm just going to line these ones up within the circles of the tires and also on the edges of the handlebars. For this layer here, I will be using some industrial diamond ink. You could use a different color if you want it darker, but I do find that this kind of soft medium gray works really well for this one. So I'm just going to ink up the whole entire stamp with this one. Flip that over and then pop that back into place. Again, lining up the circle parts of the tires and the edges of the handlebars there. Once that's done, I can remove that stamp and we're going to move on to the base layer of the frame. Now I'm lining up the little kind of notches that are in the spokes on the tires within the spaces that I'm going to line up. And for this layer here, I will be using the Pinkalicious ink. So I'm having a pink bike, but you could have whichever colors that you wanted. It's so fun to kind of play around with the colors for this retro bicycle. So I'm just going to line up these spaces that don't stamp within the spokes on the tires, and I find that's the easiest place to line that up. This layer here is going to add the shadows to the frame that we've just stamped, so that you're going to want to line this one up at the bottom of the portions of the one that you've just stamped. So for this layer here, I will be using the Rubelite ink to add in those darker kind of shadows to this one to give us that look of fullness and also depth and dimension. Once I'm happy with that, I can stamp that one down, and that is going to be the bike complete. I'm then going to move on to the little basket. So for the base of the basket, I am going to be using the Rocky Shore ink. So that's the darkest color that we used for the tires. I can then take the second layer of the basket. It's going to line up along the bottom and the left hand edge. And for this one here, I will be using the Mocha ink just to add the detail and the shadow into place there. I can then take the base of the leaves, and it's just going to fit in these two leaves, where it doesn't stamp, and then along that right hand edge. So for this base layer here, I will be using the Marshland ink to add that in, lining up those two leaves that kind of pop down over the basket and then the side pieces on the right. I can then take the second layer for this, and I'm lining up the same places as before. And for this layer here, I will be using the Sea Forest ink to add that into place. It's going to add in some depth and shadow to the base of all of those leaves that we've just stamped. I'm then going to take the flowers, and these are just going to stamp into the places that didn't stamp for the leaves. So for the base layer here, I will be stamping using some of the Lavender Fields ink to give me some beautiful purple tulips. I can then take the second layer, and this is just going to add some detail along the top part of each of those tulip flowers that we have. So for this layer here, I will be using the Deep Iris ink. Once I've stamped that is all of the layering complete. We really do hope this video helps. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you again really, really soon. Bye-bye.